Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yeah, I think you guys had a very good break. I know that it's not enough, but since it's the introduction session, there's no other way. We need to push out the agenda, go on. Okay, guys, let's move into the next event. Next, we are moving into NAMA project opening presentation. I think you would have seen this name NAMA in your whatever documents that you've been given. Brother Mr. Zulhilmi Muhammad Qasim will now present the opening presentation of NAMA project, an initiative aligned with the core values of this leadership program. Brother Zulhilmi, the floor is yours. You can carry on. He is the head of program at NAMA, and he'll be explaining you what the program is about and the presentation about NAMA itself.
Thank you so much, Brother Imas. Assalamualaikum, everyone. I'm sorry? I'm going to be moving around. Is that okay with you? Okay. Assalamualaikum, a very good evening, everyone. Come on. I thought you just came back from the break. Yes? It doesn't sound like it. How are you guys doing now? This is better now? Okay, great. All right, Assalamualaikum and very good afternoon. Firstly, I would like to welcome you to Malaysia. And of course, I believe that some of you are already familiar with some of the languages there. And to all of us here who are sharing the same minds, who are sharing the same aspirations, I would like to say welcome home. Next slide, please. Now, supposedly, there should be a speech pertaining to the NAMA Foundation. And by the show of hand, anyone here is familiar with NAMA Foundation before? Okay, so we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not more than 10. And I think it is fair for us to share a little bit about NAMA Foundation, which is one of the co-organizers for this event, for us to have a little bit of feelings, for us to have a little bit of depth and understanding what exactly that we are doing at NAMA Foundation. And for us to start with this, I think it's good for us to go back to the origin story. Like for the humanity itself, the origin story is started with Prophet Adam alayhi salam. Like for Malaysia, our Independence Day in the 1957. And for NAMA Foundation, it was actually started in the middle of 1950s, sometime around the 1900s. So what happened was, there was this one sheikh. He was born and raised in Yemen. And throughout his childhood, when he was growing up, he grew up poor. Poor to a point that he didn't have enough to feed the family. He didn't have enough for his family. So he decided that he needed to do something. Yes? Oh, a little bit of intermission. No worries at all. All right. So there was this one sheikh. He was born and raised in Yemen. But because of the challenges that he had to face when he was growing up, he came up from a poor family. He decided to go to Saudi. And initially when he was there, during his teenage years, he started with the small trades. And from this small trade, it has gotten to a point that it got so successful, he became so big that he owned one of the biggest financial institutions in the Saudi. And we thought that this sheikh, when he was already there, by any measure, from the materialistic perspective and from the worldly perspective, we thought that he has gotten everything. So can you imagine, with the Saudi oil, with the Saudi money, opening the biggest institution in Saudi? So we thought that he has everything. But deep down, he felt that there is this void within his heart. And after a while, he started to make a reflection of himself. And he realized one thing. When he was growing up, he felt that he wasn't being presented with this one gift, which is education. So when he was growing up, when he was busy working, he had to skip that part. So that is why, on his deathbed, when he was about to pass away, he said, for his wakaf or for his wasiyat, he said one thing. He said that I want 1/3 of my wealth is to be contributed to the ummah. And at least 60% of it is to be contributed for the education sector. And that is how NAMA was actually initiated. So 1/3 of the 60% was for Yemen, where he was born and raised. Another 1/3 is dedicated for Saudi, which is some of you might be familiar with SBMF, Bin Mahfuz Foundation. And for the third one, with the 1/3 is actually for the rest of the world, which is located in Malaysia, and our country of focus is actually in Tanzania, Kyrgyzstan, and Indonesia for the time being. But previously, we have been working with a lot of countries in Palestine, in Lebanon. And with this spirit, we want to start our journey here, because I know that all of us here do not want only to be here just for the sake of attending this session. No. I believe that each one of us want to be here to learn and to contribute once we have completed this course. And I'm sure that this is going to be a very interesting course for the next 8 days, inshallah. Next slide, please. Okay, so perhaps I share a little bit about myself. I am Muhammad Zuhilmi, the head of program from Nama Foundation. So essentially, my role there, I consider myself as a bridge, trying to connect the ideas from the ideation to the impact. And my role is, together with my colleague, we identify some of the social issues in the education sector, in the third sector empowerment focus, and then we come up with solutions on how we are going to create an impact and for us to come up with the intervention. So essentially, that is my role. And that is something that I would like to share with all of you here. Essentially, by the end of this course, we are expecting for each and every one of you to become one of the change makers that are going to create an impact for this world. Now, for us to better understand this, perhaps I can prompt you with 3 questions. Next question, please. So, how many of you has attended this kind of training before? Can I see a show of hands? So we can see that a lot of people who have attended this. How many of you have feel like you really got something out of it? That you have been benefited from it, the knowledge, the wisdom that come out of it. And I think the most important part is the third question. How many of you feel from the knowledge that you have obtained, from those training, that you feel like you have contributed to something? Alhamdulillah, most of you have. And that's the thing. If you were to look around, I'm sure that our brothers here have already raised their hands, which is good. But most of us did not been presented with this kind of opportunity before. Of which I think the reason why we are here, the fact that we are here, that we are being gathered here in a way, is by the blessing of Allah and for us to do something about it. And what exactly that we are trying to do is going to be this. Alright, so this is a little bit of the program overview and what is expected from each and every one of you. So essentially, we are expecting you to deliver something by end of this course, by next Friday. And the things are, next slides. Okay, so these are the slides, or rather the activities or the theme for each of the day. So we have been split into 8 days. For each of the day, you have a specific theme that you need to adhere to. And each of the day has its own agenda and itinerary for us to deliver and for us to, in a way, contribute to. Next. Now, from Nama Foundation, or in terms of the project management perspective, or the things that we are trying to deliver by the end of this camp, will be on this one. So if you were to pay attention in Saturday, Wednesday, and Friday, there are actually some deliverables that you'll need to complete. So understandably that from Friday until the next Friday, there is a lot of seminar, there is a lot of workshop that you'll be attending. But specific to this workshop that are related to the project, these are the things. So for tomorrow, my colleague, Abdul Hakim, will be sharing with you some issues identification, specifically for you to identify and to work together on the issues that you'll need to focus on. Okay, so on the details of it, I will be presenting after this. And coming to the Wednesday, on the 6th of August, there will be a proposal writing and fundraising together with the impactful project management. So these are 2 separate courses. So we are going to have another 1.5 hour and another 1.5 hour in impactful project management. So for each of these seminar or each of this workshop, there is a deliverable that we are expecting you to share with us. And by the end of the camp, on Friday in itself, each of the group will be presented with an opportunity to present your project. Okay? So this is the overview that is going to take place for the next 8 days. And essentially, for each of the breakdown, because we don't want this to be something unclear, and that's why we are sharing this with you on the first day in itself. So in terms of the social issues identification, so this is going to take place tomorrow on the 2nd of August. So the format is going to be like a 1.5 hour presentation by my colleague, and there is going to be a Q&A. And then the learning outcome is for you to understand what is it required for us to identify the relevant social issues that we want to tackle and to provide a justification why we are tackling those kind of issues. All right, and the expected outputs, or rather the document that you will need to prepare by the end of it, would be the problem tree analysis, objective tree analysis, and logical framework. And please do not be worried, because by tomorrow, I believe my colleague will be sharing with you on how we are going to come up with all of this documentation, inshallah. And the next one will be on the proposal writing and fundraising. So now we have already identified the issues. We want to know how is it that we are going to fund this project. And this is where this is going to take place. So the learning outcome is participants will be able to come up with a fundraising plan for us to gather the money for us to fund the project in itself. And the expected output will be the comprehensive fundraising plan. So this is going to take place on Wednesday in the first half. So the next one. Okay, so this is going to be my segment, impactful project management. So you now have an issue that you want to tackle, and then you know how to essentially gather the money or fundraise in order for you to fund the project. So now you need to come out with how are you going to manage the project. So this is where the monitoring and evaluation comes into place, the governance, who is it that you are going to reporting to, what is it that you are going to report to your stakeholders. So all of this will be touched during this session. And hopefully by end of this session, you'll be able to come up with a comprehensive tool for you to learn and for you to come up with the project proposal itself. And lastly, on the Friday, it is expected for you to present your presentation or the project that you want to kick off in a way. So this is going to be 10 to 12 minutes presentation with Q&A. Please be mindful of the time because we have almost 10 groups, inshallah, that are going to present. And the slot is going to take place from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. on the Friday. And these are the expectations. So essentially, we are expecting you to showcase your final project or proposal, to apply the skills learned throughout these 8 days, to share the clarity of the impact, for you to show the collaboration between one another, and lastly, to engage and inspire delivery. Next one, please. Okay, so now we know that tomorrow is the issue identification. Wednesday is where we are going to learn about the proposal writing and fundraising. And Friday is our presentation day. So what will happen after that? So we are expecting you to kick off the project, and we, from Nama Foundation, will be, in a way, provide you with some mentoring and coaching in order for you to follow up and follow through with your project implementation. And we are expecting this to be completed, inshallah, in 3 months' time, or as long as it required to be. Now, the most important part here is how is it that you are going to establish your team? Because I'm sure that each one of us has our own mission, has our own inclination in the social issues that we want to tackle. Like myself, probably from the mental health perspective, from the Muslim or Islamic perspective, that would be my niche. For each and every one of you, I'm sure that you have a specific issues that you want to tackle. So how are we going to tackle this? Next slide. Okay, so this is where you are going to build your team. We don't want to just assign you into a group that you feel that you don't belong, that you feel like you do not have a say for. So instead, what are we going to provide you? An opportunity after tomorrow's session, which you will come up with the issues identification once you have learned the theory, or rather the ways on how you are going to identify the issues that you want to tackle. You'll be presented with the opportunity to find your own pairs and create your own group. Okay, and from there, we will assign you a specific mentors to guide you along the way. Now, the composition of this group, it can be big, it can be small, depending on the project that you want to tackle. And in us forming this group, you will reach out to our committee members here for you to submit your name and to submit your project proposal. So this is going to take place tomorrow or Sunday after we have completed with the issue identification workshop. Is it clear? Clear? All right, is there any question prior to that? On the team assignment? Yes. Okay, so essentially, brother's question was, how are we going to manage the people who are in the same group, but they are coming from a different countries? So this is where the flexibility is given. So when you are reaching out to each and every one of you, then make sure that you have this into consideration, because local context is really important. For example, in Nama Foundation in itself, I think in Malaysia, we are in a way lucky that in order for us to study, or if we want to pursue our education, we can either get a MARA or PTPTN. So this is essentially a funding from the government, and we need to only pay 1% for the service charge. But I was informed in the country that we are operating in Indonesia, for example, they do not have this option. For them to pursue their study, they have 3 options. It's either they come out from a rich family who can afford it, or they get a scholarship, but the number of scholarship is very limited, or they do not proceed at all, because if they were to get a personal loan, it's going to be an interest of 18%, and it's not Sharia. Just imagine. So this is what's happening in Indonesia. So that's why we come up with intervention. We provide a microfinance or a small loans for them, to provide them with a 0% interest loan. So we want you to be looking into this kind of perspective, like how exactly we are going to create an impact via our intervention. And honestly, if you were to ask me on the specific, for example, Sri Lanka, for example, in Mauritius, for example, in the other country, I might not know specifically what are the social issues that are pertinent to each of the country. But you guys do. You guys have all these local contacts. Okay, so I'm expecting you to have this collaboration, starting from today even, to have a discussion, of informal discussion with your friends. What exactly that you are trying to achieve? What exactly that you are trying to solve? And of course, if you are lucky, that you get to experience the grouping from people who are in other country that are sharing the same mission. I think that's such a blessing. That is also possible. You can just connect and communicate via online. So when you have all of this, tomorrow will be the date where you come up with the number of grouping. All right? Please. You have to come up with the practical solution, because this is a real project that you'll need to implement. And not only that, we are going to monitor and evaluate you based on this project. Okay, so that's true. That is true. I think this always happens during the assignment, right? Have you ever experienced this? When you are placed in an assignment or in a group, and you are the only one who is high-spirited to deliver the assignment, and some of them didn't deliver, and you are basically the one that are completing the assignment. Always. So he's the reason. Oh. Okay, so that always happen. And just to assure you, sister, and everyone here, so that is why tomorrow we are going to have the workshop first, for us to identify what kind of issues. So my brother Hakim, he will be sharing with you what are the field or areas that you can focus on. For example, in terms of health, in terms of academics, or perhaps you want to start a business, because for Nama Foundation, the way we get our funds is from our corporate business. So we are their CSR arm, their corporate social responsibility arms. So perhaps you can consider that as well. And for you to get the, I would say, the answer for this, I think after we have completed the workshop tomorrow, then you have the clarity, inshallah. All right? So this is how we are going to build our team. And please keep connected with all of the people that might share the same mission as you. And these are your coaches. So for Brother Abdul Hakim, he's the one that is going to present on the issue identification. Myself on the project management. And Mr. Ghani, he'll be the one that is going to share about the fundraising and the proposal writing part. And the way we are trying to manage, because these are essentially a volunteer program or project. So once you have established a group, just appoint one leader, and we'll be communicating with the leader in itself. And if it is required for us to have a specific webinar session or a Zoom call, because I was made to understand, every night you are going to have 1 hour for you to discuss about the project. Okay, so if it is required for you to have a one-to-one session or a group session, online group session with your coach, then you can just inform them. Then we can have that session. All right, so this is essentially just to streamline the communication so that nothing will be missed. All right. And in summary, this is it. So essentially be engaged, just participate, engage and contribute throughout the event. This is going to be an interesting 8 days event. Like for me myself, I've never experienced this during my university years. I was never selected, or rather I've never really like raised up my hand to participate. So I think that was the reason. But I always feel like I was missing out, you know, because it's not easy for us to be gathered in one hall, coming from more than 10 countries, if I'm not mistaken, and for us to collaborate and to share ideas and try to create an impact. I think this is such a blessing. Just make sure for you to feel like you are part of this. It's not only at this first and second level. It's not only for you to participate and engage. No. For you to feel part of this event, you need to contribute. It could be from minds, it could be from heart, or it could be from your hands. All right? So the next one is submission. Okay, so this is quite important as well, and very, very important, I would say. The submission that you need to share with us by Friday. One is the problem and objective analysis, logical framework, fundraising plan, and of course, the project profile. We are going to share with you the template for you to fill in. You just need to submit this by Friday. However, you are not expected to present all of this on Friday itself. So on Friday, you'll be given 10 to 12 minutes. Just make sure that you are presenting something that is going to capture our heart and make us understand of your proposal. Okay? And then the presentation in itself, just prepare, do your level best, and be tawakkul. And lastly, on the implementation. So for the implementation part, we have assigned you a coach. You will have a discussion with your coach on how you are going to be monitored for the next 3 months, for the next 6 months. If you think that your project is going to take up until 1 year for it to be materialized, then we will stick with you. And then in terms of reporting, in terms of how we are going to monitor and evaluate you, that one is subject to the discussion that you have with your coach. Okay? So essentially on Friday, these will be the 2 things that you will need to deliver. The first one is the submission, and then the second one is on the presentation itself. Tamam? Okay, so I'm going to take a pause. And if there's any question, then anything that you want to clarify, then let me know. Yes.
I would like to ask a question.
Yes.
How big of a scale would you want the project to be? Do you want it to be just localized to universities, or do you want it to be in a nationwide or international wide? Or how big should it be?
Okay, thank you. That is such an important question. One of the criteria that we are going to measure you is based on the feasibility of the project or the proposal in itself. So when I say the feasibility, it touches on the BSC, essentially the balance scorecard lah. Whether or not you have the funding for it. Okay, and then even if you do not have the current funding, how are you going to find your funds via the fundraising plan? How are you going to monitor it? Whether or not that it makes sense for you to deliver such a scale. Because at the end of it, we'll be looking and measure you based on all of these criteria. And to answer your question, sister, for it to be how big or how small, it really depends on your proposal. If you think that you have the capacity to launch a big scale event, then khalas, please, by all means, more impact, inshallah. But we need to ensure that those projects are materialized. We don't want it to... The problem with project management, I think, we spend a lot of time with planning, but when it comes to the execution, kaput. Nothing happens. So that is where you have your coach. So your coach is going to challenge you. Hey, you said that you want to deliver A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but looking at your resources, you only have up until A and B. How is it possible? So you have to rationalize with your coach. Okay? All right. Do you have any other question then? Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone.
Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, thanks a lot, Brother Zulhilmi, for that wonderful overview of the project planning. I hope that everybody has taken note of what should be taken note, and make sure that you start working on your groups when we move into the groupings. So as we speak about groupings, now we are moving into one of the most important aspect of this training program, grouping the participants into selected criterion groups, so that for the rest of the retreat you will be moving around with your group mates, you will be doing stuff, you will be doing projects and everything with your group mates. So with that note, I'd like to invite Brother Mr. Rida, to Dr. Rida, to take over the stage with regards to group allocation and the ice-breaking activities.
Assalamu alaikum. So the idea behind the groups is so we've looked at all of the different groups, and we've looked at the different skill sets that you possess. No, it's not there. And we've looked at all the skill set that you possess, and we've sort of tried and match you into groups with a mixture of making sure that there's a gender mix within the group as well, and also in terms of different expertise within each group. And this is just a preliminary grouping, but it will allow you to begin to communicate with those with a small group. The finalization in terms of which group you actually belong to, we will do tomorrow. We will finalize tomorrow after the projects. But at least this gives you the opportunity to begin to think about the project, because you'll have some ideas about projects. So as much as there will be a presentation tomorrow, but I'm sure if I would ask you in your room now, do you have ideas about projects? Everybody will have something or some problem or some burning problem that they think requires to be solved. And therefore we can begin that process of thinking about it. And we can post all of these things together. And then when we look at the whole range, people begin to think, hold on, yeah, I like that. And oh, I like that, or I like this one, I like that one. So we can begin that process as well, and it will help us to begin to know each other also. So can we post that into the WhatsApp group? Yeah, so we're going to send that into the WhatsApp group. Before we do that, can I ask, is everybody on the WhatsApp group? Is there anybody here who is not on the WhatsApp group? Yeah? Okay, Marwan, you're not? Well, you're a journalism specialist. Okay. Huh? Okay, yeah, we'll add you, inshallah. He'll have to vet you and then make sure that you are suitable. Okay. Yeah, so we have the WhatsApp group there. So there are about 10 tables. We place you into groups of about 6 or 7. And there are about 10 tables outside. And if it is that you can find those around you, and so if I can ask somebody from your side, if you can number the tables 1 to 10 or something like that, so that it makes it easy for people to go to that particular table, inshallah. Yeah? Yeah, the outside tables. If you could just number them 1 to 10. The projects are important. Now, one of the things that we will be doing during the course of the program as well is that we're going to assess your group performance. So you have project performance, which is one thing, and there will be assessment of that. But in a sense, a group is also a small organization. It's about if you are the leader of that group, or if you are the follower in that group, how are you performing? What is your relationship like with those that you've appointed? How do you begin to critique each other? How does the leader hold the group together? So there's a lot of skills related to that, and we'll be monitoring the groups. And I'm going to give you during the course of the program some questionnaires to answer, so that you can evaluate, in a sense, reflect upon what is happening. And there are all sorts of different types of performers in groups. You know, there are some people who just, you know, they're sort of like critics. Some people who are just, you know, they might be critics, but they, you know, just like, okay, well, guys, you know, I don't agree with you. You go ahead and do it. If you think that is best, mashallah, I'll make dua for you, and that's it. So that's not the type of thing that we're looking at, okay? So I think it's important that, you know, the best leader are also the best followers. And if you are a really good follower, you would be, you have the makings of becoming a very good leader. So those are the groups that we've put into the thing as well. The other thing for you to take note of is that during the course of the program, there are going to be other forms of group assessment. One of them is what we call a leadership corner, and this is where we would like you to bring together a lot of the creative ideas that you have, looking at the program, looking at things that comes to you, and to be able to put those things together, inshallah. So we'll be judging you on your leadership corners as well. Is that clear? The other thing is that what we would like is that sometimes the best way of learning is by teaching or by sharing. And one way of doing that is to be able to reflect. And what we'll be trying to do at certain times, what we will do is I will give some of the groups, and we'll give perhaps all of the groups, opportunities to be able to reflect with everybody else what has been happening, you know, what it is that they learned, what are some of the most memorable things. And talking about memorable things, one thing that we'll be doing during the course of this program is that after every session, there is a feedback form, a Google form that you have. Everybody has Wi-Fi access, so you will need Wi-Fi. You will need your phones, okay? I know some people are smiling now. You will need your phones to be able to fill out those assessment sheets. Because as much as you are learning, but also those people who are presenters, they're also learning, and they also need to get feedback to be able to make sure that they can better themselves also, okay? So feedback is really important. Now, if there are things which are mentioned during the course of the program, which are resources, and there will be a lot of resources, I wouldn't be surprised by the end of this program that we've told you about 50 really good books to read or something like that. So there will be a lot of that taking place. The idea is that if you have access to other resources which might help each other, we want you to be able to share, inshallah. Okay? So everybody has taken an imprint of the group that they're in? Okay. All right. Are there any questions that you would like to ask? Is everybody clear about what we're going to do? So what we're going to do is that you find yourself which group you are in. I want you to go in that group, do a small ta'aruf, sort of try and learn about each other a bit more. Have a discussion, and so this is a brainstorming sessions. You're not committing yourself to these projects. It could be things that you think which are important, that you want to think about. You can also, that list that you prepare, the collective list of everybody, we will share that list with Muhammad Hakim? No, Hakim tomorrow, yes. Yeah, not just her, yeah. Hakim tomorrow, we'll share that list with him so that he can begin to think. Now, one of the things I want you to think about while you're thinking about and brainstorming those ideas for your projects is to think outside of the box. If you think that, you think you're very passionate about, let's say, feeding the poor, but you know of 10 organizations are already doing it, you don't want to become organization number 11. You want to think about something different. We live in a different age also. And in this different age, we have tools available to us which people never had before. We have things like, for instance, artificial intelligence at our disposal. One of the things that we're trying to encourage you to do during the course of this program, and there's a whole session on artificial intelligence, which we're going to look at, is for you to be able to use the technology. The only way that you can become better and develop a certain level of artificial intelligence literacy is by actually using it. You have to use it. You can use it for everything from brainstorming ideas to looking at images, to it could even help you on report writing, templates, performers, all sorts of things. But everything also requires validation. That's something we're going to talk about, because one of the things that these systems do is something called hallucination. Okay, human beings hallucinate when they have a psychotic condition, but this is not. But this hallucination is where the systems and these machines, they can make up things, and they give you, they give you, you tell it to give me some information on this, and then they make up a whole story, a whole history. It looks so very convincing, and you think, great, I've gotten it, but it's actually the machine just working, because what you haven't done is that perhaps it doesn't understand, it doesn't have enough data input, or it doesn't have enough context. And that can lead, but at the end of the day, you still have to validate everything. So the way that learning will change in the future, I'm going to discuss that in the artificial intelligence session, but just to let you know, you do have tools. And if you want to learn more about some of these tools, you have some, a lot of people who are involved in those things, to come to us, inshallah. The other thing about the groups is that when you think about your groups, also think about a mix of skill sets, because sometimes mix of skill sets help in terms of having different technical expertise. Like for instance, so we've done something very similar in the UK, and what we do is that we make sure that, for instance, even before anything else, how many of you are in tech? So you make sure that there is a techie person in your group, or how many people of you are legal experts or legal background, how many people are in finance. So it makes sure that you have different skill sets. So it makes it easier when the group comes together in terms of being able to say, yeah, we have people with different strengths, and we can pool all of these strengths together. The last thing I want to mention about projects is this. When I say think outside of the box, sometimes there are problems. We live in an age where it does not matter as much if we are not physically connected in the same room. If you are talking to somebody in a Zoom meeting or with Google Meet or something like that, it's almost as if you are talking to somebody who is next to you. And that's the level of connection that eventually we will need to be able to develop. What this allows us to do is to be able to just not think, well, that person is far away. No, that person is in the same room. You're all in the same room. It's just that you're occupying different seats. It doesn't matter distance. So the idea of being able to compress distance and almost take it away from the equation is something that we need to think about, especially when you have people who are coming from 30 different countries. Somebody from UK, from France, from Mauritius, Malawi, wherever, and that we can still bring together. There are also problems which you can think about, which are beyond just local problems. It could be global problems. It could be something that you have the solution for, which can benefit not just your local community, but it can benefit everybody else. So why not think outside the box? When you think about your impact, scaling your impact to be able to influence a much bigger audience in this day and age is not really difficult. It's about that first step that you make. Then you can think about, what you need to bring into to be able to do different things. And your the person who is with you, your mentor with you, will help you with that, inshallah. So I would say that when it comes to things like projects and so on, you just think, just open up your imagination. If you want to conquer the world, say you want to conquer the world, but just have a plan for it in terms of what it is that you're going to do. There too often we think that, oh, it's too big, it will never be done, nobody can do it, you know. But if you think like that, you'll never get anything done. So we need to know what it is that we can do. And remember the last point that I mentioned during the presentation this earlier on, when I said that those of us who are sitting in this room, you are some of the most intelligent people in the Muslim Ummah. You are some of the most intelligent people. And what you do or what you don't do is going to have an impact. You're going to have an impact no matter what it is. The question is, are you going to have an impact which is positive, which is memorable, and which people, when they look back at your legacy, they will say, yes, they knew how to channel their resources and they were able to make the change that they wanted. So we can see the change that we want, but we need to be smart about it. And we need to be able to mobilize what we have. So with this, are there any more questions before we break into our groups, inshallah? What's the remainder of the program? What's the remainder of the program after this? Okay, so after this, I'll give you some time, and then you come back. Yeah, so we'll do that. Okay. So how much time you want to give them for this activity? So about 20 minutes? Is that enough? And then we come back, inshallah, and see what you have? Yeah? And what I would like is that for each of the groups, before you come back or while you're coming back, if you can prepare a list, a digital list, and then you post it into the group. Post in the WhatsApp group, and then we'll compile them all together, inshallah. Okay? So now is the time to be able to get up, walk around, go to your groups, and then, you know, as I mentioned before, find out who each other is in the group, brainstorm ideas for projects, not necessarily the ones that you want, but for everybody else. We're going to pool all of the thinking of everybody onto one sheet. We will then present that to our brothers from NAMA, which they will use as a basis to help us. And then we would narrow that list down to the suitable ones, inshallah. Okay? So with this, just tell us your name before you. Just tell us your name and then speak, so we can get to know each other a little bit more. Yeah. So just say it a little bit slower, so that we. How do you like to be called?
Ali.
Ali, mashallah. And that's a little bit easier. Okay, Ali. Okay, Hazrat Ali.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah.
My name is Ali Muhammad Bello.
Yeah.
The question is that can someone leave their group if the group members are not actively contributing or something like that?
Okay. All right. So Ali, what I would say is this. If you come together as a group of, let's say, of 6 or 7 by tomorrow, if you are the group leader and you are unable to motivate the other 6 people, something is wrong somewhere, isn't it? And that's where, you know, you need to be able to figure out what's wrong and how to be able to do it and to be able to address the concerns. Solutions can be found, is whether or not we're prepared to face up to them, inshallah. So let's hope it doesn't come to that, but these things do happen. And very often in projects, what's tend to happen is that there is 1 or 2 passionate people. Within a couple of months, most of them drop out. The thing about it, if you believe in something, if you really believe in something, it doesn't matter. You do your best that you can do, but what tends to happen is that if the project is important for you, you will begin to attract others, bring them on board. This is in real life. And that's, but for this one, inshallah, hopefully they'll remain with you, inshallah. Yeah. But we do want to get groups where, you know, everybody are comfortable with what it is that they're doing. Yeah. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Just tell us your name before you start. Yeah. This is only with leading with impact. Critical thinkers are not involved in this. Not that you are not a critical thinker. Okay, anybody else? Yeah. Jamilu, isn't it? Jamilu, yeah. Yeah. Do you want to be part of this program? Okay, good. So then this is your program. Yeah. No, you don't have to go there now. It's in the next room, but you wouldn't be there. Okay. Anybody else? Yes? Okay. That's, yes, sister. Name? Afghanistan. Warisa, yes.
Okay, my name is Warisa Azmi.
Yeah.
I just want to ask that I think this program, how many time happened with others? Did you conduct this program with how many youths and how much time before?
Okay, so this particular program is a pilot, okay? In terms of doing the program the way that we are doing it now with all the different elements, this is probably the first time they're putting all those different elements into one program.
Okay.
So this is a big challenge for us to see how it works and whether, and how it is, what we can do to scale this particular program. So this is also a pilot for us as well.
So
So what we've done is that we've run different elements of it. So we know how the elements work, but we haven't actually run it and put everything together as one. So, yeah.
Sorry, I think maybe you don't understand my question. I don't understand your answer.
okay.
I don't know. My question was that this program, how much time happened before with youths? Did you see any really positive impact that this program, we did this project and then the groups come together and then they really applied their project really come into work? This is my question. Or
Yes,
this is new?
Yeah.
New
So we've
us?
had several programs like this before,
Okay.
and especially when it comes to entrepreneurial skills and people actually using their skill sets. Okay, just to give an example, my daughter, she attended one of these same programs, okay, which looked at how do you take an idea and make it into a viable project. And she came up with this idea of creating an app in school. And she was able to take it to a national level and actually won the competition nationally in the UK for something like that. All the skills she needed to be able to do that, she got from the session from the program. Nothing else. So you'll find that there's a lot of what you'll be learning, you'll be able to apply this knowledge to other things as well. Because these are skill sets that you're learning. The skill, for instance, we noticed, even in terms of whole, I remember we did a program a few years ago back in South America, in Guyana, and especially when it came to the sisters, nobody wanted to hold the microphones. They were scared, but by the time the program finished, everybody didn't even need a microphone to speak because they knew how to be able to project their voice. The tone was much better. They were much more comfortable in communicating, and that's what we want to see. So I think there are things that you will learn in the projects and outside of the projects that you'll find that it will make a big difference in the rest of your life.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry for my
No, it's fine. It's fine.
sorry English.
Inshallah. Okay, right. If there are other questions, we can take them later on. Let's get outside, inshallah, and do some work, inshallah. So, they are group 1 to 10, right? Numbered. Yes. Okay. Okay, we can go outside now, inshallah. So the list should be in the WhatsApp group, so you should be able to know which group you're in.
جو جروبين في عرفات روح جروب 8 مع عرفات.
ليش مع عرفات؟ لا تكون بوت ولا نبوت. لا تكون انجلش.
ولا على عرفات.
No, عرفات. I give you another group.
نمبر 9 نمبر 9 حط يمنيها ما في شيء يمنيها.
لا انجليزي. You speak English today. Come. No.
تكلم عربي. So you're from Bangladesh, right? You are taking lesson. How old are you?
The way that you said it was that.
يعطر الآذان والقرآن ضياء يملأ الآفاق ونور يبعث الأشواق وفيه محاسن الأخلاق والقرآن أسعد به قلوبنا واغفر به ذنوبنا واشرح به صدورنا يا ربنا أذهب به أحزاننا